In the Valley of the Kings, in 1922, in broad daylight, a water jar slipped from a boy's hand. The ground rang with a different tone that stirred his suspicion, so he ran to inform Howard Carter. Carter went to the spot and directed his search there until he stood before a sealed doorway. He extinguished his lamp for a moment and asked one of the workers, "Do you see anything?" Then whispered, "Yes, wonderful things." From that small opening, we open a window onto a boy whose name became more famous than his kingdom. We will tell his story as the evidence tells it, the established and the possible, about a human being caught between religious turmoil and a state restoring its legitimacy. Carter was on the verge of unveiling a king whose name was not powerfully immortalized in his lifetime, yet was immortalized after his death, the boy king, Tutankhamun. Let us travel back about 3,350 years to the late 14th century BCE to begin where the story took shape. Tutankhamun was born under a religious revolution led by his father Akhenaten. In those years, the god Aten alone was exalted. The voices of Amun's priesthood fell quiet, and the forms of art, ritual, and language changed. The child first bore the name Tutankhaten, a name declaring allegiance to the sun disk rather than to Thebes' temple. But politics, like natural forces, tends toward balance. Little by little, the court returned to Amun, Egypt to its earlier rites, and the very name shifted to Tutankhamun, a change of letters that signaled a deeper change in the direction of the state, not merely in the boy's identity. Inside the palace, the boy learned the protocols of rule, how to enter the innermost shrine, how to advance in procession, how to stand before gods, priests, and army. He took the throne as a child, about 8 years old. Yet the body left its own signals. From the tomb, we know there were many canes among his belongings. Images and statues show him leaning, and skeletal details point to problems in the foot. These signs do not build a myth of infirmity. They present a real person living within his reality and fulfilling his role, walking with a cane if needed, and doing his duty as a young king. The task of that era was larger than the age of its ruler, to restore legitimacy after religious and political upheaval. The state had to gather its threads, reassure the priesthood, reorder temple revenues, and show the army an economy it could rely on. In this light, we understand the images of the king worshiping, granting, and tending to ritual, not as mere ceremony, but as a message of balance. Legitimacy was built by symbol and work together, a heading broader than a boy's powers, yet the frame within which he moved. Now we turn to the language of the tomb, that closed museum untouched until Carter opened it. Beds and couches, miniature chariots, sandals, ritual tools, jewelry, masks, quivers, boxes, and rows of shabti. This is not the pampering of a spoiled prince, but a catalog of identity offered to the gods. This is how the king was and how he wished to be seen. Even the small objects used for the foot are displayed with taste and function, as if the tomb were saying, here is a body with precise needs and a state precise in its statement. Then we reach the question that never rests. How did Tutankhamun die? We will present what has been said as possible pathways, not final judgments. One path sees a fracture that worsened into infection. Another mentions malaria documented in some tests. A third points to a violent traumatic injury, imagined as a chariot that collided or overturned. This hypothesis may explain damage on the left side and internal injuries, but it remains a hypothesis among hypothesize. What we agree upon is that the young man died in his early 20s, and the end came before the features of his political project had fully formed. From here we let stone speak, a cane that indicates a body resisting, a name that changed and then returned, and a tomb that became an archive of a state. If the thread of erasing a name and its return draws you in, you'll find its mirror in our film on Hatshepsut, already live and appearing in your suggested videos now. A queen nearly effaced, brought back to light by stone. Judge by what the artifact tells, not by what the narrative dictates, for what is built on meaning is not erased.
If this journey moved you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay with us for more secrets of the pharaohs.